discuss a topic that affects millions of people: insecurity, from social media to relationships. We'll explore the causes and consequences of insecurity and, most importantly, discuss practical strategies for overcoming it.
Thank you, Tiffany. Insecurity is a complex issue that can manifest in many different ways. As it core, insecurity is a feeling of uncertainty and or lack of confidence in oneself or one's abilities. It's something that everyone experiences at some point in their lives, but for some, it can be a persistent challenge that affects their overall well-being.
That's really interesting. So, how we can identify the signs of insecurity in ourselves and others?
Well, one of the most common signs of insecurity is a fear or of failure or rejection. People who are insecure may also struggle with self-doubt, anxiety, and depression. Other signs include constantly seeking validation from others, avoiding challenge due to fear of failures, and even being overtly critical of oneself. In social situation, insecurity can show up as difficulty asserting oneself, extreme shyness, or even defensive behavior when faced with criticism.
It makes a lot of sense. And what about social media? How does that play a role in insecurity?
Social media can be a breeding ground for insecurity. We compare our lives to curated highlights reels of others, and we often come up feeling inadequate. But social media is just one piece of the puzzle. Childhood experience, relationship, and even our negative self-talk can all contribute to the feeling of insecurity. The constant exposure to idealized version of people's life can create unrealistic expectations and make us feel like we are not enough.
Right, and I imagine this can start at a young age, especially for teenagers who are still forming their identities.
Absolutely. Adolescents are particularly vulnerable because they are in critical stage of identity information. If they are constantly comparing themselves to influencers, celebrities, or even their peers, it can have a significant impact on their self-esteem. This is why it's important to encourage young people to engage in activity that build confidence and focus on their personal growth rather than external validation.
It makes sense. So, how can we overcome insecurity?
One of the most effective first strategies is to make self-compassion. This means treating ourselves with kindness and understanding rather than judgment or criticism. We can also challenge our negative thoughts and reframe them in one more Wait. Also challenge our negative thought and reframe them in one more positive light. For example, instead of thinking I'm not good enough, we can remind ourselves I'm learning and growing and that's okay.
That's really helpful. And what about mindfulness? How can that help us overcome insecurity?
Mindfulness is a powerful tool for overcoming insecurity. By being present in the moment and focusing our thoughts and feelings, we can begin to develop a greater sense of self-awareness and self-acceptance. Mindfulness allows us to observe our feelings, our thoughts, and without judgment, which help us recognize when we are engaging in negative self-talk. Practice such as meditation, deep breathing, and journaling can be extremely beneficial in cultivating a more secure mindset.
I love that approach. It sounds like mindfulness helps us break free from the cycle of self-doubt.
Exactly. When we practice our mindfulness, we give ourselves a space to acknowledge our insecurities without letting them define us. Over time, we can learn to respond our fears and doubt with respond our fears and doubt with a sense of calm and understanding instead of panic or self-criticism.
That's really insightful. And what about relationships? How can we build stronger, more secure relationships?
Building stronger, more secure relationships requires effort and commitment from both parties. It involves being open and honest with each other, actively listening to each other's needs and concerns, and working together to build trust and intimacy. Communication is key when we communicate openly about our fears and insecurities. We allow our partners, friends, or family members to support us in meaningful ways.
I see. So it's about being vulnerable and trusting the people in our life.